back to Prism Primer. This is a section, I guess, that has been due for a while. This is Halo of Illumination. This is just the only headpiece the deck runs because it is ludicrous. It's nuts. It's so powerful. It pairs incredibly well with both Rapture and Vestige. And just with Prism's ability as a whole, letting you tutor a figment out of your deck. Oh my goodness, if you're going to yell at me, jump up here. Come on. It's also a little bit of a weird card. This is where I think people get a lot of Prism as a toolbox deck, and why they say that, and I don't fully agree with it. A toolbox deck is, my understanding, something that carries answers for a lot of stuff, and Prism is much more about making people respect her game plan than answering other people's game plans, in my opinion. And that might be kind of murky anyways in Flesh and Blood, but yeah, I think this is a card that does lend itself to making the deck look like it's a toolbox deck, because functionally this card is a multi-tool. It is, on it, you have usually 6 or 7 options that you can pull out of your deck for immediate impact that your opponent can have a hard time interacting with. It can be done at instant speed, it can be done on your turn or their turn, and then like just the flexibility of it is kind of crazy. And it's really, in my mind, what sets a good Prism, or what differentiates between a good Prism and a great Prism, is how they use Halo. And it's something I am looking at every game. Was my Halo good? Was it bad? Did it have the impact that it needed to or that I wanted? Did it get wasted because of this or that? Because I had to gamble because they had a D-react when I got Triumph or something like that? Like, this is something I look at every game. And part of this is, am I using Halo proactively or reactively? Am I using it on my turn to further, to force a Herald through that they're trying to get Phantasm Trigger on with a Popper, with a 6-power attack? Am I using it on their turn to get Figment of Judgment, to turn a card face down, get some tempo, get some good value out of it? Am I using it on their turn for Triumph to just lessen the impact of a turn? This was pretty common when Art of War was in the game, just to -1 6 different attacks. And this is something that I'm also kind of keeping track of, is when I get to use Halo on my terms to push my game plan, be proactive, that's usually much better than when I have to use it reactively, when they force me to use my Halo to do something. Those issues are more common in aura plans when somebody got a lot of pressure on you. But it's very similar, and I think you can see it in like my top 8 game in London, where I'm basically having to use my Halo reactively because I am getting forced into using it to get anything out of it. So this is also a question that I have in mind when I'm looking at, was my Halo use good or bad in a game? So the way I want to do this is I just want to go through each figment that you can search. When you crack Halo, you can put a card in your soul. If it's a light card, you draw a card. You're typically going to do this when you have a Herald to put into your soul to trigger Prism, get you to search the figment. Those are the most impactful Halos. You don't have to do that. You don't have to put a Herald. Just a light card to get a card in soul is something I've also done, for sure. And it can absolutely be the right call. It's not common, but it absolutely can come up. So I'm going to go figment by figment and just what the reasons are that you would search it. Because having this, understanding all the different uses of your multi-tool is important. And it's how you're going to get the best value out of it. And being aware of all of these options at any given time is essential to using this card effectively. And I think it is still the hardest card to use in the deck, for sure. So the first option is just Figment of Erudition. This is just the most powerful figment in your deck. Draw 2 is insane, and then Ponder resets your arsenal. Like, it's insanely good. So the reason you're going to search it on pretty much either side, you're not going to search it on their turn super often. Unless you're like forced to, because a Command and Conquer's coming in, you need to clear like a Genesis out of your arsenal, and you flip Erudition at the same time after the hit trigger and all that stuff. But you're primarily going to be searching this so that you can resolve an Arclight Sentinel. This is the most common line that I take in the Aura plan. I probably force this line more than I should. But just dropping Shariah with an ALS and Arclight Sentinel in front of it is extremely powerful. And this is a way to guarantee that you get the Figment out of your deck. A lot of those games into, let's say, Victor, you can end up being very starved for not necessarily Figments, but Soul. Or, sorry, not necessarily other way around. You can end up starved for Figments, but not Soul. That way. Where it's very difficult for you to get Figments out on the board, but like you can play a Merciful out, it gets hit, goes to Soul, or you do Soul Shield something, and you can get 6 Soul pretty guaranteed, but you can't always get the Figments out to go with it. So Halo getting to search this Figment, no matter what, is extremely impactful. It's very useful. As just like a guaranteed tool that you have access to, a guaranteed power turn or pivot that you have access to. And it's pretty much always going to happen when you have an Arclight Sentinel available to you. And this is true in aggro matchups as well. This is a plan you can take when you're on Rapture. If you end up with an extra soul and your life totals are like roughly at parity for a turn, but you have Arclight and a spare soul, like you have 2 cards in soul, you can just Halo search Erudition, drop Arclight, and you just have 2 turns of go at least 2 wide, if not 3 wide. The first turn you probably go 2 wide and drop the Arclight, and then the second turn you guarantee go 3 wide, and they still have to answer your board. So this is a very common turn. It's more common in Aura Plan, but it's something I'm trying to do more of in my aggro games, just because it's so powerful. It's nuts. Doing in the Aura Plan, you're much more likely to have the extra soul, just because like if you drop it with a Genesis as well as these 2 cards, like then you have the soul to keep going and Vestige Online, like it. You have a better snowball effect there, but you don't need the snowball effect as much in the aggro matchups. You're just going to be hitting them a lot. So this is a very proactive use of Halo, and it's a pivot turn that even I'm trying to be more aware of as I go on here. Figment of Judgment. So this is less relevant now that Zen has hit Living Legend. It is not irrelevant though. You can do cheeky stuff where it's like you can Halo for it against Verdance if they're on exactly 8, and you can like turn off the Verdance trigger for a Heartbeat of Candlehold or something in response to it. If that's more efficient, if you just have yellows in your hand and you don't want to give 3 cards or 2 cards, you can do this, like turn off Verdance for a turn or something like that. You can Halo for this into Vinset, and it can be very impactful. You cannot respond to Vinset trigger with it, but if they play a Shadow non-attack, you get windows to use this. Careful on your timings with it, because if they pay a life and call in response, things can get weird. But you can do this in response to the Vinset trigger of them playing a Shadow non-attack, where then you can do that. I'm not using Halo for that as commonly as I used to. It's less impactful than I would like it to be, but it's still an option that I keep open. And then there's a very, very slim window where you can use this against Aurora. I don't love it, but if they play an Arc Lightning and then they play Skyward Serenade, you do have a window to turn the Skizzik face down with Figment of Judgment if you Halo. Because Serenade, they name the 2 modes, which is Search and Embodiment most likely. They go through, they resolve Serenade. Serenade has Go Again. The Go Again resolves at the end of that card. And then Arc Lightning triggers on a new empty stack. And they can't play an action in response to that trigger, but you have a chance to respond there. That's pretty much the only way you should be able to respond to Figment of Judgment, a Skizzik. I still don't recommend it. I think there are cases where that can be good if they're trying to 2-card hand you with just Arc Lightning and Serenade. That can be an extremely efficient way to deal with that turn. If you pitch a blue, you AB the Arc Lightning Go Again on itself, and then the Go Again on Serenade, and then the last resources for Halo to turn the Skizzik face down. And that's an extremely efficient way to deal with that. It's 1 card to stop their 8. Not 8. 1, 2, 7? Yeah, sounds about right. If they have tunic, then it's like they're still going to get some through with sword, but like you're fine with that at that point. They can't change their modes on Serenade at that point. Like it's not great, but it's fine. It's not bad. It does rely a little bit on you having the blue. So Figment of Judgment, it's still going to be in the deck. I think it's still better than Tenacity, although it's a little more up in the air than it used to be. We'll have to see where Fi and Syndra and Katsu land, because if they're on Pouncing Links, you always have a window to Halo for Judgment after they've searched and before they can play it. In the damage step, Pouncing Links on hit triggers, and then you both have to pass on an empty stack then after they've broken it, searched a card, banished it. You both have to pass on the empty stack, and you can say, activate Halo, search Figment of Judgment, turn your Lava Burst face down. And that's a great way to use Figment of Judgment and Halo. So yeah, Figment of Ravages. This is one that's a little strange, because basically, so the trick is, for this one, if they attack an angel directly with a go again attack, you can, in response to them declaring the attack and putting it on the stack, you can activate Halo, search Figment of Ravages, target yourself with the Arcane, and have the Angel's Ward take the Arcane, and the attack cannot resolve, or the declared attack cannot become attacking because the target no longer exists. This means their go again doesn't resolve on the attack, and their turn basically ends. This is not something people run into anymore, really. People have been trained at this point to just attack face, even if it's a 0-4 and it's nice and clean. And it's not as common. There is one really cute use of this that has come across, I've become aware of recently. Shout out to Wyatt for this one, for seeing it, because I did not. If you have Essence of Ancestry Body, the red one, and Aurora's like, oh, okay, I know how to play around this. I'm just gonna play a Discharge, and then play an E-Strike for 10. You can fetch Figment of Ravages, ping yourself, take the essence off the board, and then it has the effect of preventing a red thing active if they try and send one big attack. It's something that can come up. I don't know if Essence of Ancestry Body is making the cut anymore at the moment. I think you kind of have to be on a Switch list with the way the meta is looking to move. It's possible it can stay, even in the Switch list, if it's that important into Aurora for you. But that's another use that I hadn't considered, and is actually really cool and really interesting, and some great counterplay, some great interaction. This is also just one of the figments where if the game has been going great and I don't need to use Halo at any point, this will be one where I grab it off Halo just at the end of the game. This is a damage. That's a Herald gone to Soul. Rapture makes the flip free. If I had one Soul going into this, I'm just going to 2-card 7U with 3 of it being Arcane, and basically all of it effectively on breakpoints. So that's also it could be net 1 card, -1 Soul. Yeah. If you pitch a blue for it. It won't have go again then, but that's probably fine. But yeah, that's another just thing where it's like, this is your kill threat. If they go to 1 and then they empty their hand and don't have Tunic up or whatever, you can just ping them for 1, and that's the game. So this is one where the original funny trick doesn't work as much anymore, but it's still very good. It's still very impactful, and it's still evasion that your deck really enjoys having. Figment of Triumph. I think this is the most common pull now in aggro games, and that's either being proactive to turn off a popper to make it a 5, or to make it a 5, or reactive on a go wide turn to give all their stuff -1 and just kind of get some good defensive value, clean up break points, stuff like that. So this has a lot of weird little. Those are like the two common cases where it's like, oh, this is a Spreading Flames turn from Syndra if they're blue Syndra or something. You can do that. It won't affect the daggers, but it affects the 4 or 5 attacks they're trying to throw. And that's if they're on momentum and not pouncing links. Turning off poppers, great, fantastic. Huge value play. Huge value because you get this Figment out plus Soul. You get another Herald probably to hit and then go to Soul to get another Figment out. And then you can probably take your Erudition turn with this. Fantastic play. One of the really kind of, not necessarily niche, but more uncommon lines to take is if they're just going to send a normal 0 for 4, no go again, at one of your angels, haloing for this to make it a 3 instead of a 4 can be huge. It can be huge. I've done this a couple times, and it is pulled like an Artivore from a Zen. I've hard casted this from my hand against a new to keep Shariah another turn, and it just buys 10 value just hard casting this, which is like fine. It's not crazy, but like they took a turn, like half a turn to be able to try and clear Shariah, and then I kept Shariah another turn, and then they have to deal with Shariah still. And it's like that little -1 taking attacks from 3 to 4 that are targeting angels can be really big. It can be really big. So this is probably one of the like more flexible ones in a way, but it's also the most common one at the moment, I'm pretty sure, for aggro matchups. The other Figments that go in the deck. Tenacity, you can play it. It's fine. Searching it to put Dominate on something and then Wrathing it to 12 can be pretty good, obviously. Good way to finish games, but also just kind of like I'd probably rather get Ravages and send Arcane with it and then send a Herald, and I have an Angel that's sticking on board and is a threat actively for their next turn, which like you would probably get to flip this for free. But it just doesn't quite make the deck at this moment. So it's there. It's possible. There's no really defensive uses for it, but like if you were on Warcry and you wanted to make 8 or 12 Dominate off of an Angel Swing, this would be a way to do it. Because you can do it on this one. You can tutor Tenacity when you have, like, you Arsenal Warcry, you wait for the second one, you tutor Tenacity, and you send 12 Dominate as a kill turn. That's not terrible. It's not ideal, but it's an option to keep in mind if Tenacity ever makes it into the deck. Figment of Protection. This is kind of the flip side of Triumph, where like if it's a defensive turn and I just kind of want the one breakpoint, especially into like the slower decks, and I'm being forced to defensively Halo, Protection is one that I'll go for. If somebody is trying to present exact lethal on me, like I'm at 10 and they send a Snatch and double press it, this is something that I would tutor up. This can also combo with Invoke Shariah from Dynasty. That's not a disinteresting play, in all honesty. It's gotten better with Warcry. I'll be honest, it's something I've looked at more with Warcry, but it's just like never quite made the cut. But it's an option. It's not an exciting option, especially if Invoke Shariah is not in the deck. Like, it's fine, but it's something you can grab in an absolute pinch. Figment of War, I don't think there's really any reason to search this one other than you already have Erudition out in the Aura plan and you already have Rebirth out, so this is just the third of the trifecta to have out at that time. Getting the Courage token is pretty low impact, or you're searching this out because you drew the Figment you wanted off of Halo. Figment of Rebirth. This gets an honorable mention, and I probably shouldn't have it smaller off to the side, but Figment of Rebirth gets a very honorable mention, and there's a reason why. If you already have, let's say, Shariah out, and it's not flipped, she's there waiting, what you can do is activate Halo, pitch a card, put a Herald into Soul, and be holding Light of Soul in your hand. And you go search Figment of Rebirth, it comes into play and it puts a Herald on top, Yellow Herald. You flip Rapture with, or you flip Shariah, Rapture making it free, or Vestige is making things super efficient. And you swing Shariah, pitching Light of Soul, or pitching for the flip, potentially. Yeah, potentially. And then you trigger Light of Soul and go get another Figment. That can be a great way to get an extra Figment out, get an extra Soul out, and guarantee it. There's some really cute tricks you can do with Light of Soul and Rebirth. And it's something I always kind of have in the back of my mind when I draw Light of Soul is, can I Rebirth combo it for an extra Soul and an extra Figment, and just getting one extra card in the Soul, extra Figment on the board, but also extra Figment out of the deck so I can't draw it. So that is something that I kind of always have in my mind. It's not something I Halo for super often, but like if I'm on my pivot turn and I have a card, Light of Soul, Genesis, and a Herald, and Arclights in my arsenal, I'm gonna go get Rebirth if I already have Erudition out. I have to have Erudition out for that to work, because I have to be able to do the thing I already want to do for the Rebirth trick to work. I can't be searching the Figment that I need to attack with or awaken off of... I can't be searching for it off of the Light of Soul trigger. But that is an honorable mention. It doesn't come up much. It was more common before when you had Tome of Divinity in the deck, I think, just because it was like super easy to go like card neutral on it, or even like +1, to where it was just obscene the stuff you could do when you haloed for Rebirth, because then you can guarantee, you can have an empty board, halo for Rebirth, Light of Soul to Tome, and then search your Erudition then, and then swing Erudition. Awaken and swing Erudition, because you have the Tome as that middle piece to pitch Light of Soul and trigger Light of Soul. So something to be aware of, but not nearly as common as it used to be, or as common as the first four. So just quick notes. Most common in Herald Beatdown is probably Triumph, either reactive or proactive. And if I'm using it proactive, I'm usually proactively to like turn off a popper. I'm usually much happier with that than if I'm using it defensively or reactively. Most common target in Aura Plan. This is Shariah, hands down. It's Erudition. There's no real contest here. This is when I take my pivot, and I love having the Ponder token on that turn as well, because I typically go down to no arsenal, and then the Ponder just resets it, and it lets me see a full extra card for seeing another Genesis, seeing a Merciful, seeing another Arclight Sentinel, seeing a Wrath that I can pair with Dreamweavers or something like that to really push my tempo now that I have it. So like it's almost always this. I will sometimes bring it out earlier if I'm worried about it getting banished from the deck. So like against Assassins, I will bring Figment of Erudition out as soon as I can. Even if I burn the Ponder, I do not want it randomly banished to Prognosis, or not even Bonds, just like randomly banished off the top. Art of Desires, Leave No Witnesses that hits and just banishes the top. I want this out of my deck and in play where it is safe as soon as possible. This is the most skill testing card in the deck. It's the hardest card in the deck to use. I still mess it up a lot. And I still have games where I'm not happy with how much value I got out of Halo, or how I used Halo, or should I have used it earlier. It's difficult. It is, because you have so many options. And because you're doing them with like partial information, like it. And then it's like half the times you activate Halo, if you do so with a yellow, it just feels really inefficient. But then if you do so with a blue and you float 2 resources, it feels really good. Like some of my favorite turns are actually on their turn, activate Halo to -1 something, or -1 multiple things, but have 2 resources floating. And I already have my Erudition. And I just got another card in Soul, so I'm at 2. And then at the end of their turn, when they have no action points, I flip Erudition, and I start my turn on draw 2, into Double Herald, into Awaken Another Angel. So then I'm somewhere between, I'm at minimum 8 ward, and I could be at like 11. And that's such an insane pivot for somebody to come back from. Like, it's just nuts. Even just something as simple as like that kind of play, not even activating Halo, but just like activating Calming Gesture to get a Spectral Shield and get that flip. Like, having a blue for your Halo turn is so important if you're doing it on their turn. It's so useful. It hurts me when I have to pitch a yellow to Halo on their turn because I know I'm not getting the most efficient line out of it. And the efficiency goes up by at least a full card, I think. In all honesty, I think if I went and sat down and did the math, I would guess it's a full card of value that I get if it's a blue instead of a yellow, which is crazy to think about. But that's just because everything is cost curved that way. But yeah, this is about as much as I think I can give. These are just, I'm trying to just give options on what you can do with Halo. And it's something where it's like, I can't tell you going into any one matchup that you're going to use Halo like this. Except maybe like Phi if they present Pouncing Links, which they maybe shouldn't. Just because you're much happier with that trade, especially if you pitch a blue, than they are. Because it's not even like Triumph on their turn that really does it. It's Judgment on their turn. Because it like stuffs half of their turn and then you get a pivot. Like, that's where pitching a blue for Halo on their turn to Judgment something, excellent. Fantastic. But I still mess this up. I am still taking notes every game on, was my Halo use good? Was it effective? Was I happy with it? Should I have used it earlier? Should I have held it longer? Like, this is something that you will have to look at every single game and decide, was it good enough? And if the question is, I don't know, then go ask your opponent. What did this feel impactful? Did this feel like it did something? Like, they're the ones who are going to be able to tell you the most when you're using the reactive Halos rather than the proactive ones. Because the proactive ones, you can feel it. You can feel it. Because most of them are on your turn, and it enables you to do this thing or take this line. And the reactive Halos, like, you kind of have to figure out, like, was this worth it? Was it not? Like, and the old rule of thumb used to be, like, get 8 value out of your Halo, which is a little more nebulous than I would like, in all honesty, to measure that 8 value. But it was easier to see it when we had Zen with Bonds of Ancestry. We had Katsu still running around. We had, you can't measure that in the Aura game plan. It doesn't work. It's just, was it a good pivot? Card is hard. Deck is hard. I just want to give some options and where each of them kind of fall and what I'm looking to do with my Halo. I can give like some generic ideas for some matchups where it's like Aurora, I want to be triumphing them probably defensively with a blue, and that still doesn't feel great. Into basically all the Aura plans, I want to go get Shariah or make that my Shariah turn. If the ninjas show back up, it's probably Judgment that I'm looking for, or Triumph. Triumph is still very good into those ninjas. Probably even more so than Aurora. Aurora, it's not even great, especially if she only just goes 2 wide and like E strikes for 6 afterwards instead of 7. Like, it's not great. Keeping it up for Ravages is always pretty good. You don't have to hold Halo forever. Like, you can see in my Swiss game from London that I pop Halo on on my second turn because it's that powerful in that moment for me. It is worth that much. So, you don't need to hold it. It can be nice to hold it, but like it is something you have to practice with and get experience with, and that's it. That's the answer. And you have to look back at every game and say, did I use Halo well? Was that a good use? Because you don't need to hold until the end of the game. You don't need to use it on the second turn of the game. It depends. Golden rule. It depends. But this is a multi-tool. You get one use out of it. Make it good. Just, was it good? Was it not? Learn. And that's it. Because there's too many scenarios for me to outline, I think. So, for me to outline every single one. So, like, I want to give you options too on some of the things you can do with it. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I have a couple more of these planned, as well as a couple more gameplay reviews from London that I want to do, and I'm going to see when I can get those out. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Peace.